Hi, this is Katapult from Katapult Gaming, and in this video we're going to do a MF run with a Aura Paladin. And we're going to go over in Nightmare, and you'll see while it is kind of doable with basic gear, most likely you'll find that it's just not worth it. So we have our same scepter from last time with the +3 Holy Fire. Armor, nothing really too special. The circlet, we found one with +2 offensive auras. Same thing with the amulet. This shield here is a +1 paladin skill levels, and it has some pretty decent resists on it, which is why I went with this instead of a Saigon or something else. Basic fast run walk boots, rings with lifesteal. Belt, nothing really special. Really, some resist and +12 slots is really why I'm using these ones. And then same with these gloves. So nothing really too spectacular. But we do have a good amount of plus skills. So when we look at our offensive auras, we do have level 28 in Holy Fire. And we do have the 20 base in Resist Fire and 20 base in Salvation. So all of our bonuses here are capped out for the Holy Fire. We do have Conviction leveled up quite a bit. So if I'm doing a party run or something like that, this is what I'll typically use. And in combat skills, not much here, a little bit in Zeal and all that, but that's going to be coming up in the future. So we'll head over and start with a cow run. So we'll go in the field over here and see if we can find a portal. And we can see that, in this, for killing these pretty easy monsters over here. Things are dying very easily. It's pretty similar to how it was in normal, to be honest. These monsters don't really have much resistance or much life, so they just kind of drop like flies. And you do have to attack things a little bit once in a while. And here we got a tool run rune, which is pretty nice drop. And I'll grab this amulet over here. Just while we're here, let's go tag these
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
people up a bit. That was the Alexa thinking I was talking to it for some odd reason. So we'll go over here. I try to pick up loot that has either a coin value or gives something. I know this +1 skiller, I have something better. So either if it gives coins or if I think it could be useful for another of my characters. So. That's good. I was out of tools, I believe. And all right. Let's get started with a cow run. And here is where we'll see that the pings do a bit of damage to cows, but really not a whole lot. So I'm going to want to get in, attack them manually. So you can certainly kill them, not too dangerous for the most part. You have to use a health potion once in a while. But as you can see, both you and the Merc are doing a pretty decent job at staying alive, except maybe here with the king in his lightning. I'll have to be a lot careful. And yeah, so not much good use here. So as you can see, I mean, it's definitely doable, but compared to other builds, this is just not working well enough. And once in a while, if you have a immune to fire, this is where basically you let your Merc do most of the damage, because you can sort of do a little bit of damage, but not too much against those. I do have for bosses. Sometimes I'll switch to this with the crushing blow. That will help speed things up a bit. But for the most part, as you can see, because of the resists in this act, cows are just not dying quickly enough for me to find it worth it. So if I'm going to be killing cows on this character, still normal is the right place to go. And, if I'm going to do nightmare cows, there are some better cheap build options out there, like the Blizzard Sorceress that would plow through them very, very quickly compared to what this character is doing. So we'll jump to the next part. Here we're going to look for the tower, which, that's extremely fortunate to have the tower right on the side here. With this level of build, again, we don't have teleport, so we'll have to kind of fight our way through. We can probably run quicker and skip through mobs, but you never know what these monsters could drop, and we don't really have a huge inventory of things anyway, so even a lower medium drop sometimes could be an improvement on this character. So what would really be necessary? There's one of two directions to make this build viable for Nightmare and Hell difficulty. And basically one of them is you either get a lot of gear that has the Holy Fire aura, and that way you get that aura as a passive, and then you switch over to your conviction to lower the resistances, and eventually you can even break the resistances completely of the opponents. And even if something does resist fire, you can still do your pretty close to full damage to them. And the other option is you get a rune word with conviction, and then you use your Holy Fire aura to do the damage. Or there's a couple of new items too that, like there's the new rune word that will help you reduce the fire resistances too. That could be interesting. But basically, if you don't go one of those two routes, and both of them are very expensive rune-wise, so it will take quite a lot of farming until you are able to pull this build off efficiently. So really, this would be more of an end-game type of build where most likely you already have a strong character that's feeding the gear to be able to complete those rune words. And then from then on, you'll be able to kill enemies extremely easily. But until you get to that point, it's doable. And, if somebody wanted to, you can certainly complete the game with this build. And there's a couple of places where maybe you'll need a little bit of help. If you can see the this monster here, that went pretty quickly. And that's probably one of the few places where the build is working decently still in Nightmare. The next step up, and yeah, one of these days I'll combine those and get them upgraded. So next place we can take a look at Trav. No promises that I won't die. This, depends a lot. There's a lot of enemies here that hit with magic attacks, which my resistances are okay-ish, but not that great on this character. So definitely have to be careful when you have these many characters casting around. And again, you could switch to your salvation aura or something like that to help with those, but if you do that, you have no damage left. So this is again the downside of this build, is you do have a lot of very useful auras, but in a lot of cases, if you use them, you can't do damage at the same time. So something that I find works pretty decently is you try to get them away, as I did here, and then you don't have to necessarily fight all the enemies at once. So that helps lower how much damage you're getting. Because you do have that ping damage here, like if you have too many of those things shooting at you, you can just run around and over time you'll be doing damage to them. But yeah, really not great, as we can see. So really for Trav and anything Act 3 and beyond, you can eventually do it. And when I was leveling up and going through the acts and quests, basically I would bomb them with my merc that you just keep buying mercs, and eventually after time you kind of run through the enemies. So that's all I wanted to show for now. So at some point I will come back to this character to complete it, and then at that point I'll show how that's working out. But as we can see, this is way too slow to do any type of useful farming in Nightmare. So I'll be parking this character aside and be focusing on my sort for a while to start collecting some better items. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thank you for watching. See you next time.